So everyone's been arguing since forever about how old are the pyramids. How do we know? You can't carbon date stone. So we can only get like a rough idea of the organic material found in and around the pyramids. And we can date that, or we can date a little bit of wood that was inside the pyramid. But that actually dated to 500 to 900 years older than the pyramids. The only reason why we think the pyramids are 4th dynasty Egyptian is because inside the pyramid you can find little bits of red ochre paint graffiti that's done in a language that's not proper hieroglyphs. It's like a more commonly used writing of the time, and so we have that. We've known about this. You've known about this probably, but what you might not have heard of is that recently Zahiwas went on the Matt Beal Limitless podcast and showed evidence of new scans. They've like done this scanning project inside where these glyphs are found, and have discovered that there are more glyphs that you can't see with the eye very easily. And so they were missed by the original finders of the glyphs in the 1800s, and it basically they've been interpreted, and it shows that they are more gang members working on the pyramid, and like workers mark. There's even a date that says like in the 13th year of Khufu's reign. So I'm going to show you the scans and the glyphs, and I think that there is a really good argument that these graffiti marks are not modern day forgeries, not 1800 forgeries, but actually like legit 4th dynasty scribbles. So the glyphs are found scribbled inside, above the king's chamber. There's like a whole host of sort of like little antechambers in between all of the blocks of mega granite. So this area was not supposed to be on show. That's why it's not a finished area of the pyramid. So the walls aren't pristine and precise and smooth and whatever. And it's still got all these markings. Now, I'd heard of these markings before, don't get me wrong. And I'd heard of the conspiracy theory that they were probably forged in the 1800s when people were paying a lot of money. There was like financiers that were putting a lot of pressure on the people who were excavating the pyramids, saying you need to find like historical finds. We need something to come out of this mission. You haven't found a pharaoh, you haven't found anything in the pyramid, we need something. So it kind of made sense. It tracked that suddenly when they needed to find something, they did, and they found these glyphs. And for reference, this is a drawing of the glyphs that are found in that upper ceiling cavity. And it mentions Khufu by name, the pharaoh, not once, apparently like over a dozen times, so multiple times. And so there we are. But it had always been written off as maybe it could be a modern day forgery from like the 1800s. However, new scans have been done of the whole area, because this is what it looks like. If you like look in really, really close, you can see that there are some very faint markings and glyph markings here that were recorded by the team in the 1800s. So they've scanned this whole area, and then with the better technology and the better scanning facilities, they've revealed way more writing. Bam! There's new writing, and they have translated it, and it's more gang names. There are like 4 gangs that they found, different worker gangs, gang A, B, C, and D, they've called them, and they found more glyphs to each of these gangs. They found Khufu's name again, and they found a date, the 13th year of Khufu's reign. Interesting. That's like kind of bang in the middle-ish, right? Because he reigned for like 20-ish years. Okay, not only that, did they discover that the red ochre writing, there is also some glyphs underneath the red ochre writing. So this is like, it's like double written. Somebody wrote on it, rubbed it off, wrote something else. It was very much like layered graffiti, as we can see here. So the red is what you can still see like visible today with your eye. And then the orange is, I think, what came up on the scan. And you can see that there was like 2 different stages of writing, either 2 loads of work, blah, 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 blah. Now, why does this help the argument for the dating of the pyramids, you ask? And I'm going to tell you for why. So the thing is that I didn't realise that the glyphs aren't just written like, you know, they're not just whacked on a wall willy-nilly. They are all over the place, and some of them are left to right, up up and down. They are getting covered by various other blocks that are there. Basically, it doesn't take two brain cells to work out that it's very obvious that whoever wrote on the blocks wrote on them before the wall was made, because the wall is basically a mishmash puzzle of old scribbles, and they're all going in different directions and blah 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 blah. So yeah, unfortunately, it's really hard to argue that all of these scribbles were done post-wall completion. There's not a lot of... If it was a false sort of a ruse? What word am I looking for? Forgery. You can see it a bit better here. If it was forgery, it would be very difficult to pull off because we're missing half of the... It's very authentically placed, basically. And so odds are it was written before the wall was assembled. It might even have been helpful. It was helpful to the workers assembling the wall because they maybe knew which block from which gang went where. I don't know, speculating. But I didn't realise that. I thought that they were just sort of marked... I didn't know there were so many at first either. I didn't know a lot of things until today, and I'm very excited trying to tell you. If you want more information, Matt Simpson at Ancient Architects on YouTube has just dropped a very good video showing all the visuals and a bit more information. But I think this is fascinating because it is quite difficult to argue that the wall was made before, which therefore means that it is quite likely, if the scans that Zahir Was is showing are correct, and if the translations are correct of the scans of the glyphs, and it does say Khufu, 13th year of the reign of Khufu, and it does mention Khufu 13 times, then wow, I might have to eat my words, and the pyramids are 4th dynasty, like originally. Because before I was swaying a little bit more into the idea that the 4th dynasty did a massive restoration project, and it's possible that the pyramid structure or part of the pyramid structure had been there pre-dynastic Egypt. But this is a brain puzzle. What do we think? What do you think? Is this like fundamental proof? Is this a line in the sand? Have we solved the riddle of how old are the pyramids? And was it Khufu all along? Or how do you get around the riddle of the graffiti? Let me know.